Alright, so week 3 has been very difficult. I've had material issues not quite work out. I've had to change sort of the process, how I was going to make the molds for the toy. Basically, it's been a lot of trial and error and taking some steps backwards and trying to figure out how I'm going to redo them and still get it in with a product that's up to par for quality and price. That's been a big thing too that changed the direction, but now it's just the production of it, and things are breaking or they're not as easy or flawless as I imagined. Partly that's because I've been experimenting with some of these materials, and it takes a few times before you get it right, but I'm running out of time, so I can't just keep on experimenting. I gotta get a product in, so that's been the difficult part this week. So this is a picture of the plaster mold that I did in the bucket. I put the styrofoam into the plaster and it hardened, but then I got stuck in the bucket. So it took an ice pick and some hammering to get the stuff out, and here's the remnants of that. It wasn't pretty or easy, but it worked. This is the plaster mold for half the sphere, and this is what I would make the plastic shell mold out of with the vacuum form. So I sanded it down, smoothed it out, and I made a mold of that with the plastic that I'll show you a little later. I think maybe the coolest part so far of this project is kind of the artifacts that I've been making along the way, whether it's styrofoam balls that I'm carving out or the plaster molds. I'm left with some pretty neat looking stuff that normally I wouldn't get to mess around with some of these materials. So I took a photo of this. I thought it was cool. Alright, so like I was saying, I made that plaster mold for the half sphere that I'd vacuum form. So this is part of it, just a clear plastic shell that will fit over the ball and contain everything as you're kind of working with it. So I'll make 2 halves of these and then combine them at that seam. Not exactly sure how I'm going to treat that seam, but they basically would just pop on with the 2 halves. You have 1 half here and the other half there. But after I did that, it didn't work out that nicely or as easy as I thought, and it basically scared me out of making a plaster mold for the actual ball itself, because that's a little more intricate, and if any part of that screws up during the process, I'd basically be screwed because I'd have no product and I would be starting all over again to come up with it. So what I did instead is I decided I would use the styrofoam ball that I had already carved out, and it works. It just, I needed to treat it in a way that it wasn't so styrofoamy. So I spray painted it in a way that it wouldn't destroy the styrofoam, and now I'm painting the pathways a darker color. This is in the process, but I'll basically be using this as the toy, and the ball's in there and you're able to move it around, and it's just a simple, clean design, and I wouldn't be using the plaster. But this is where this form would come in, and it would fit in just like this. So now you have a nice plastic top, and the ball comes in right at this top part, and then you adjust this all around. But I'll leave that there. So I was a little bummed earlier in the week that a lot of these things weren't working out as I planned, because that would have been cool to have the whole process and phase as I had imagined in my head. But I think this way is going to save a lot of time, money, and effort on my part, and the toy hasn't changed. It's still the same idea, same principle, and I think it would look the same for the most part still. But yeah, I'm going to continue to paint this and touch it up so it looks clean, and I need to form the vacuum mold and figure out how to keep those 2 halves together. That would be good. So I'm kind of working through that today, but close to the final product, and I'm started working on some packaging too. but that's still kind of in the works. I don't have anything physical yet. So that is week 3 in a nutshell. Very frustrating. Had to switch up a lot of different things in order to get this, what I'm calling it's called the roundabout, but this spherical maze. In order to get this thing to work and look good, I've had to beat my brain over it. What I can do in a matter of time that I can still turn it on Monday. But that's it. Thanks.